Hello and welcome to the Parley by the Hindu. I'm Shriparna Chakrabarti, and today we are going to discuss an important issue of whether there was a need to link voter IDs with Aadhaar. There is a political slugfest going on between the ruling BJP and the opposition in various states over the updating of electoral rolls. The most recent one is the spat between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP over the Delhi electoral rolls. While the AAP has accused the BJP of conniving with the Election Commission of India officials to get the names of voters and its strongholds deleted from the voters list, the BJP claims that the AAP government has been nurturing Rohingyas as its vote bank by providing them shelter in the capital. Just before that, the Congress had accused the ECI of unaccountable additions and deletions in the electoral rolls before the Maharashtra Assembly elections. Thus, the question is, should electoral IDs be linked to Aadhaar to ensure transparency and put all claims and counterclaims over their transparency to rest? To discuss this, I have with me today former Chief Election Commissioner of India, S.Y. Qureshi, and R.S. Sharma, former Chief of the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India and the first Director General of the Unique Identification Authority of India, which gave birth to the Aadhaar. Now, sir, my first question is to Mr. Qureshi. Will linking Aadhaar with voter IDs assist in ensuring that only one voter ID is issued per citizen of India?
Yeah, that was the original intention. In fact, I would like to mention when we were struggling with locating duplicate voters, and almost every district in the country was using some kind of a deduplication software, different software. Some were successful, some were not so successful. That was the time when the unique the Aadhaar authority was created. And I remember Mr. Nandan Nilekani came to meet me to find out where we are, where do we stand. That was the time when we had started experimenting with collecting biometrics in Goa. Goa and Kerala have given us maximum number of pilots. So we were doing it in Goa when Mr. Nilekani came. And by then we had already 550 million database, and they were just starting. So we decided that we will stop collecting biometrics because Aadhaar authority is going to do it anyway. And once they had completed the job, then we can merge the two. So that is the beginning of the whole debate. And later on, Supreme Court in one judgment said that you cannot use Aadhaar.
Right.
So Election Commission postponed it. I think in 2015, the Election Commission started linking the two. Then again, Supreme Court said, no, you can't do it. By then, a lot of data had been linked. So, but as of now, I think because of persistent and continuing litigation, situation is a little vague. But maximum number of people have been linked to Aadhaar.
So, sir, Mr. Sharma, what are your views? And also, I would like to know what are the problems which can be encountered or has been encountered during such drives in the past. I want to point out the National Electoral Roll Purification and Authentication Program 2015, where a lot of fake issues started to surface. So, what are your views on this?
See, let's, before I get into that question, Aadhaar does two things.
Right.
One is it creates a unique identity for each person, which means a person cannot have more than one identity. So that's one part which Aadhaar does. And second is Aadhaar provides a service of online real-time authentication of person, which means that if a person is doing an activity, he can prove his identity that I am who I came to be. So these are the two properties of Aadhaar. One is a lifetime, sort of issuance of an identity number. And second is anytime authentication of that identity anywhere, anytime. So that's the two things. Now the question is Aadhaar, obviously every database or every system does not need to have the kind of backend technology which Aadhaar has got because that will be too expensive. So what has been done is Aadhaar is being used to clean up a number of databases. So one of the databases which have been cleaned up is the database of PAN card. Now, for example, people were having multiple PAN cards and evading taxes and doing all kinds of things. Aadhaar, linking with Aadhaar has ensured that one person has only one PAN card. So similarly, linking of Aadhaar with the voter ID, voter ID card, will ensure that one person is able to have only one voter ID, not more than one. So that's the advantage. Obviously, Aadhaar does not, is not a proof of citizenship. Therefore, every person who has got Aadhaar number is not necessarily a voter.
Yes,
That is
yes.
a job of the Election Commission of India. So
Yes.
this is the broad outline. Of course, now with the authentication services of Aadhaar can also be used to ensure that if one is that there is no proxy voting taking place. Similar to what has happened in Digi Yatra, for example, whereby people are able to go straight away in an express lane to prove their do their face authentication and get inside there. So that is another advantage which Aadhaar can create.
But then, like you mentioned, and I'm jumping to a question which I had slotted for later, that Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship, right? So, Mr. Qureshi, what is
No.
your view on that? It can help in tackling duplication, but not remove voters who are not citizens of India from electoral rolls. And that is for the Election Commission of India to formulate a strategy or a plan.
Yeah, quite right. Everyone knows that Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship, whereas your voter ID card is.
Right.
And our idea was only to identify duplicate voters. Once we have identified some voters who are recorded at 2-3 places, nobody is not going to the citizenship issue, because if they already have a voter ID, their citizenship is established through that. It's just that we get to know that they're registered at 2-3 places, which can happen because of migration, domestic migration, which can happen when you change your house within the same city, or it can happen because of fraud. So, irrespective of the reason for this, we wanted to identify duplicate voters for years, and our efforts were going on, and we thought Aadhaar will prove to be very effective. Now, later on, when people are now asking whether it will compromise security, I really don't understand, and where will need the help of Mr. Sharma, because our voter ID card has only 5 details: your name, your father's name or a spouse's name, your address, your age, and I think a house number. That's all. All this is in public domain anyway. So this is not a private data which will get compromised because of its linkage with Aadhaar. Really, therefore, I don't buy that argument. But if there is fear in public mind, it has to be explained to them. Most people are not stupid that they will not accept it if you explain it this way. Because there is no, for instance, who you voted for, it is not linked with Aadhaar anyway. There is no other information except the 5 which I gave you. They're already in public domain. So what will get compromised? I don't understand. But Sharmaji, I would like to mention to you something interesting. When this thing was going on, the controversy about a year or 2 years ago, and was it at its peak? I hope I'm not moving into some sensitive area. I decided to call because I was also getting all kinds of questions in my mind. I called him Mr. Nandan Nilekani. I think, look, forget it now. You used to be there. You have now left it far behind. Please tell us all that the controversy which is going on. Is there some possibility of some hanky-panky? Just tell me that. So he tried to say something, and the line was a bit disturbed, so I could not understand. But he did not give an unequivocal answer. No, there is no question. The way I keep on defending the EVM, for instance, he didn't say that. He said, if this happens, if that happens, if this, that. So that is what creates doubt, and you can explain it better.
Yes, Mr. Sharma, if you could, please.
Well, sir, I have always believed, and it is not a belief which is based on just some kind of faith. There is something which is based on pure scientific and mathematical evidence, which is that Aadhaar does not contain any secret sensitive information, except that biometrics are there, which are with the authority, which are kept offline and which are never used except for authentication. And that too, it is not the biometric images which are used for authentication. It is the biometric minutiae, which means some specific attributes of the biometric which are used. So actually, you very rightly point out that the only Aadhaar also had only four set of information, which is name, age, gender, and communication address. That's all. And Aadhaar has got, of course, phone number and mobile number in case you, mobile number and email address in case you want to share with them. And the mobile number is very useful, and now everybody has mobile number. So therefore, it is useful for when you do an authentication, when you do some activity, your mobile number comes. Aadhaar does not know which database it has been seeded. So therefore, there is no question of any kind of compromise in any situation. And I believe this is either come out of, this whole controversy has come out of two sources. One is those fellows who are paranoid about things which they do not know, is the fear of unknown kind of situation. Or another is there is the lobby which actually has tried to discredit Aadhaar. If you remember, sir, there is no project in India which has been demonized as much as Aadhaar has been demonized. And still, when the Supreme Court, the PIS, a number of PIS which actually were decided in Supreme Court in 2018, the Supreme Court unequivocally said that Aadhaar does not, violate privacy, which is a fundamental right declared by the Supreme Court in the same PIL in some sense connected with that. And Aadhaar does not create a surveillance state. Aadhaar does not profile citizens. And therefore, there is absolutely no reason to fear that Aadhaar will create some kind of, a problem. The linking of Aadhaar will create some kind of a problem. Nothing.
Okay, but so
the problem was created. The problem would have been created in PAN. Problem would have been created in their bank account. I don't think anybody has suffered because of Aadhaar.
The Supreme Court has also, but I think had asked the ECI to clarify that it is optional for citizens to link voter IDs and Aadhaar. I think Rule 6B, if I am not wrong, sir, Qureshi sir, that it has to be clarified, which the ECI has done eventually. Now, I just came across this, that Aadhaar-based biometric authentication has a 12% error rate. I just read up somewhere regarding. So how does it in any way affect this linking of voter ID or PAN or any kind of document? How is
Can
it
I answer that
all?
question because of this? Because this particular stuff of 12%, the error rate is also bogus data.
Okay.
I don't know where you got it.
No, I just read up online. I don't have any.
No. There is absolutely no question of that.
Okay.
There are two types of errors which can happen, which is what is called the false positive and false negative. False positive error happens when a person who is not that person gets identified and accepted as that person. So if I am R.S. Sharma and I am authenticating as Dr. Qureshi, and the system accepts that yes, I am Dr. Qureshi, that is false positive, which does not happen in Aadhaar, number one. Number two, false negatives, which means that if I am R.S. Sharma and I am authenticating as R.S. Sharma and system says, no, you are not R.S. Sharma. This is an error which does happen, which is basically, and which happens in 0.001% cases, which essentially is cause for denial of service. Now, denial of service happens, which means that I am going to draw from my bank account and my signatures don't match. Similar to that, my biometrics does not match. Now, this is not a situation where a person gets denied of this service. There are multiple other methods of doing that. Now you have the face authentication, biometric authentication, OTP authentication. There are multiple flavors of authentication. So I don't think this is a real issue. So that is number one. Number two, I completely agree that it can be optional. And there is no problem in being optional. It is relative way, look at Digi Yatra. Digi Yatra is optional. Now those guys who have got the Digi Yatra, they fall into an express lane. So they basically go and they don't need to be verified. Then the other fellows which have got don't opt for Digi Yatra, they get verified. And now what happens? CISF fellows have much less job to do because there are very fewer number of people who are so-called suspect cases or so-called cases which require detailed verification. Similarly, if your voter ID card is linked to Aadhaar, and if you can evolve some way in which you will just authenticate at the place, and
Hmm.
now that authentication takes a little more than a 1 second, 1.5 seconds,
Hmm.
you can do that, and therefore the fellows who are not linked their Aadhaar, they will need a little detailed verification which can be done. So it's actually an improvement over the existing situation. So there is no need for 100% linking of voter ID card with Aadhaar.
Okay.
And people can start, and one can keep on increasing, and when people see the benefit of that, they will more and more people will go for it.
Okay, Mr. Qureshi, your views on this, and second, I will again go back to mentioning this thing that the National Electoral Roll Purification and Authentication Program 2015, there were some major issues about missing voters, which started surfacing in 2018, if I'm not wrong, especially in Karnataka and some other South Indian states. So, what is your view on this, and what can lead to this, or what might have gone wrong?
Missing voters has been a perpetual problem for election commission. They could be missing for different reasons. Number one, that they themselves have chosen not to register, and although we go door to door asking them to register, and that. Secondly, your name can get deleted by a computer error. It can be deleted by a clerical mistake, and it can also be deleted by mischief by the administration or for reasons of corruption. Whatever be the reason, a missing voter from the list is disenfranchised. That is the biggest issue. Which is why the election, you mentioned Mumbai and Mysore and the missing voters, there were lakhs of them. And when the campaign was launched, a writ was filed in Bombay High Court, and Bombay High Court asked explanation also, and various reasons were found, mostly inefficiency. So this is an ongoing problem, and I have always called it, even when I was in office, that although Election Commission has controlled law and order, it has controlled all kinds of issues, the voter roll is our soft underbelly. Which means vulnerable to attack, vulnerable to mistakes, and that is something we should focus on. Now, what is Election Commission doing about it? I was invited to for my book launch in Mumbai by Sucheta Dalal, the journalist, and that was the time when these voters were missing from Mumbai and Mysore, lakhs of them. So when she advertised about my event, she said, those of you whose names are missing, please come and ask Qureshi directly. So
that's
and then, she also said that, can I invite Mr. Deepak Parekh to chair the meeting? I got scared because I had seen Mr. Deepak Parekh on TV. His name was missing. So obviously he would be very with the election commission. And to add insult to injury, then she said, can you invite him yourself? I invited him with the full fear and knowledge that he might take me to task publicly. But anyway, but my homework was interesting. I went there to Mumbai, and I said, show me the reply which you've given to the High Court in the writ petition. And I came across some very interesting evidence, which is will be central to today's argument also, that for 6 months, the Election Commission had issued advertisements in 4 languages: Marathi, Hindi, English, and Urdu, repeatedly. Please check your roll. Please check your roll. Please check your roll. So when I started, I said, look, these are the advertisements in my hand. We have spent 50 lakhs on it. How many of you have checked your roll? Everybody's head went down because nobody had checked the roll. And the fact that the Election Commission is conscious of the fact and doesn't want such a thing to persist. They advertise, they spend money, but the trouble is that people do not check their roll. Let me also give you one interesting human example. Before Mr. Arvind Kejriwal became the chief minister, there was polling of some kind happening in Delhi, and a journalist spotted him at Delhi airport at 6 a.m. So immediately he took the picture and he started flashing on the TV channel. Look, here is a leader who is running away on the poll day. So obviously Mr. Kejriwal saw, and he came back to cast his vote. and his name was missing. Now that has started flashing on the TV. Now we were sweating. Look, people will say, look, how careless the election commission is, that even important people, their names are missing. Immediately we did quick search and we found his name was there at 3 places, which is illegal.
Oh.
It was 3 places because he was a government servant. He was changing house again.
Changing houses, yeah.
But his name was not getting deleted from the old place. So, in fact, to complete this human interest story, I called Arvind to my office and I said, Arvind, what happened to you happens to millions of people. Can you become our brand ambassador for this message? Look, jo mujhse galti hui, what mistake I made, you should not make. Do check your role and do not just depend on the voter ID card which is in your pocket. You may have a voter ID card in your pocket. You may have voted 3 months before, but it has to be your name has to be there on the latest election. That is why checking it regularly is a good idea, important thing, and election commission wants you to do it.
Right. So, I mean, to sum it, one important aspect which we haven't discussed so threadbare is the right to privacy part, which a whole lot of activists cry hoarse about. I mean, even if, like Mr. Sharma was saying, the bogeyman thing, but still, right to privacy is an issue. It has been debated in court. So, with the current political situation where, electoral rolls have become a big, big fight between rival political parties, can we finally, say that this can help address issues where one voter ID means one vote and one Aadhaar, if we link it? I would like both of you to comment on it.
Mr. Sharma first.
Well, I don't really see the, I don't again the question about what does right to privacy want to do with the linking of, Aadhaar and the voter ID card.
No, right to privacy is one of the reasons which is given again and again when linking of Aadhaar with anything is challenged in court.
How does I don't understand everybody can get the argument, but I don't understand the basis of this argument as to how linking of a number, linking of your name is already there in the electoral roll, right?
Right.
And you are just adding a number to that name, basically to ensure that same number does not get repeated in any other entry in the electoral roll. That's what we are doing, right? So how does it concern the privacy part? I mean, I don't understand this. So, I mean, I wouldn't understand the question itself because I think it's the completely bogus kind of. It's not been explained to you how this can have an impact on the privacy of the individual if I link his name to a number. Which is what he is and which is where that information is. I mean, I'm not adding any information to him, his this thing and any private information. So how does privacy get affected by this? So that's actually I don't think there's any connection between the privacy. Of course, I understand right to privacy is a fundamental right, but this is fine. But how does that right get affected by linking Aadhaar with the voter ID card is something which is beyond my comprehension at least.
Yes, one question for Mr. Sharma from me. You had mentioned earlier in the program that one of the bits of information which Aadhaar has and electoral card doesn't is the telephone number. Now, that is my private domain. And if it goes into the hands of politicians, they approach me. And if it goes to a marketer, he sends me the unsolicited messages. To that extent, is it invasion of privacy?
No, sir, because basically what happens, Aadhaar may have got the telephone number because of the fact that telephone number actually is an optional attribute. And that optional attribute is there to help the individual. For example, if I do a transaction of authentication, if I'm doing a banking transaction, then it informs me. If I link my mobile number to the bank, it informs me that you have drawn so much of money, right? You have done this much of transaction. So it is for my help. So whenever I do any authentication, it is to my help. And that does not get embedded in the voter ID card. When you are linking just the number. You are providing that additional number in the voter ID card that this is the Aadhaar number for the fellow. Aadhaar number, you are not providing the email ID or mobile number. That email ID and mobile number remains with the Aadhaar database, which is actually used when you do an authentication. For example, if the voting also starts having an online authentication like the Digi Yatra or like other things, so that they can ensure that the person his Aadhaar number, this is in actually the person who is voting. For example, there will be things. One will be this linking will ensure that there are no duplicates and there are no bogus voters. That's number one. Number three, you also want to have another level of accuracy whereby you do not have a proxy voting, which means somebody else vote in my name and my Aadhaar card and my voter card and votes. If that also you want to eliminate, there is a facility which Aadhaar offers of online authentication, which means that only I can get for me. So that, and it can also actually provide portability. Portability as in, if I am not in Lucknow and I am a voter of Lucknow, I can probably vote from somewhere else, also. So that's a further thing. That is not really a debatable point in this debate. But what I'm saying is the mobile number and email ID do not become visible to anybody except for me, which actually is a Lipton for me. I mean, it's not something that if I link Aadhaar, then voter ID will become exposed to everybody. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
to support Mr. Sharma with an additional point, if your Aadhaar card goes missing, and if you want a duplicate, and if you want the number again, this your phone number is your authentication to vis-a-vis the Aadhaar authority.
Aadhaar
You give a number, and they are able to locate, and they give you another card. So, so long as this number is kept from the public, it is only on the Aadhaar authorities' records. That is very nice.
Sir, another problem which is actually happened in this country is the problem, and which also unfortunately now I can say because I'm not in a part of the government, is that the Aadhaar authority itself is also quite confused about the secrecy of that Aadhaar number. So they are saying, reject it, only keep 4 digits, etc. It's a bogus thing. There's nothing secret about Aadhaar. I have given my Aadhaar number to the whole world, and it is still there on the Twitter or X or whatever it is. And I can do what harm can you do? Nothing can be done, sir. Aadhaar does not disclose any. In fact, a mobile number disclosure is much more dangerous than Aadhaar number disclosure. Aadhaar number is a random number, 12-digit number. It doesn't. I mean, how can you misuse Aadhaar number of anybody and to get anything? You can't. So this is how this whole argument of so the UIDAI also has contributed to this. If there was something secret about Aadhaar number and hearing of Aadhaar number could have created some harm, I have given my Aadhaar number to thousands of people. Whenever I go, they ask for a copy of the Aadhaar. I give them Aadhaar, and any one of them could have become a rogue and could have caused any harm. Nobody has caused any harm to me till date. So I don't understand why they are saying Aadhaar is not a publicly. It's as less important than my name itself, honestly.
Now, Mr. Sharma has made a very, very important point, and I remember some years ago he coming out publicly with a similar statement that this is my number and do what harm you can, and obviously till today nothing has happened. But he made a very interesting point that the authority itself is confused, because what we have officially that only last 4 digits should be declared and the other should be hidden. So I get confused. So whereas Mr. Sharma is categorically saying that the entire number, if it is in public domain, it is absolutely safe. But these are things which Aadhaar authority itself should clarify. What is happening lately? What is happening lately, whether it is Election Commission or Aadhaar authority or any department of the government is so possessive of its information, they feel it is an insult to give explanation to the people. Now, if public starts getting suspicious, it's a very dangerous situation for democracy, because they are not talking, they are not explaining.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think in a nutshell, I think both of you agree that in this fraught political situation where electoral rolls have become a bone of contention, linking voter IDs with Aadhaar can be a viable solution to, ensure people that it is transparent and there is no duplication and no addition alteration can take place without the citizen knowing.
I would not entirely agree with what you just now said, because deletion can still happen because of human element, because of dishonesty. Because deliberately, BLO or whosoever is the officer is given instruction by the top bosses that delete these names which are hostile potential voters, which is what is happening. Many journalists have brought me the video evidence of this kind of thing happening. So that is something which an election commission should deal with, and I have been telling them. I can't advise them, but I can, as this elder and senior, that silence is not your option. If there is a doubt in people's mind, you have to answer, you have to explain, and 99% they will understand. They want to hear, if Mr. Sharma is defending Aadhaar and I'm defending electoral card, it still has a limited value because he have retired, but it has to come from the person in the chair. So that is what people want to hear. And silence on this, because in the context of Aadhaar discussion, to say that voter roll cannot be manipulated, that is not true at all. And a lot of hanky-panky is currently happening. And we have got a lot of evidence, and a lot more will come into the public domain, because there the human element comes in. If the officers implementing it are dishonest, even booth capturing can happen. Earlier it used to be ballot paper. This time it will be a machine. Close the poll at 4 o'clock. And after that, sit down in the polling booth and keep pressing the button. We have got the evidence of such kind of malpractices. It is the human element which has got weaker currently, which needs to be handled.
Right.
So, and I also want to, sort of substantiate and support and Dr. Qureshi's point of view. You see, Aadhaar cannot solve any problem under the sun.
Right.
Aadhaar can only solve one problem, which is Dr. Qureshi initially pointed out, that it can eliminate duplicate votes. Which can also potentially eliminate votes, which means that, if there is a person who doesn't exist and you just whose voter ID is there, it can probably take that, because then people can say what is his Aadhaar number, and if he has no Aadhaar number, then of course one has to do a little bit more verification. But it cannot solve other issues, because ultimately there are many issues which are beyond the technology issue. And what Dr. Qureshi has mentioned is not so much technology issues. They are the issues of human integrity, human sort of impartiality, objectivity. These are the issues which no technology can solve. If your intentions are not good, then many things.
Right. So I thank you both. Extremely grateful for both of you to join me today. And it was really nice talking to both of you. Thank you so much.